Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss phishing attacks. Phishing is a cyber attack or reconnaissance method where attackers, someone carrying the attack, impersonate, take the personality of another legitimate person or another legitimate company, entity. For what purpose? To mislead you, to deceive the individual into providing information, either personal information, sensitive information, confidential information. Phishing, basically trying to get information illegally. How? By impersonating another person. It's called social engineering because what you do when you perform this phishing, you will try to learn something about your victim. How do you learn about your victim? Through their social media activities. The attackers typically uses email, but we're going to see that phishing can take many forms, many other communication mediums such as phone calls, text messages, or impersonate as someone else on social media. The goal of phishing can range from stealing login credentials, simply put, get me your login and password so I can access your information, accessing financial data to inject malware, which we talked about malware, or influencing the receipts to perform a specific action, which is called the botnet. So why would you want to go inside the system of someone else? Either to steal the data, install a malware, or control their computer system. There are 5 different types of phishing attacks that we're going to be learning about. The traditional phishing, the spear phishing, whaling, vishing, and smishing. Obviously, with Farhat lectures, every time we have a list of items, we'll go over each list separately, starting with traditional phishing. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com. Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today. Again, phishing is trying to obtain the information illegally. How is that? Well, emails that impersonate a legitimate organization to steal sensitive information such as user's name, password, credit card information, or other personal details. Now, I can show you this email that I received myself, supposedly from Amazon. It says order confirmation, my Amazon order number, details, view or manage order, what's my arrival date, and I purchased $209. We hope to see you soon again, and a small ad from Amazon. Now, this email is not legitimate. I'm going to show you an email that looks legitimate, and I'm going to show you how you can differentiate between the two and what companies do. This method usually involves posing as a trustworthy entity like Amazon through electronic communication, most commonly email. And this is the example that is right there in front of you. Now, how would you prevent or take measures to protect yourself against phishing attacks? Well, the first one is educate and train. Educate and train your employees. That's your first line of defense. Avoid clicking on suspicious links. I should not be clicking on view or manage order. Use two-factor authentication. So let's assume I have a password. In addition to my password, every time I need to log in, I need to receive maybe a text message giving me another code generated randomly in order to access the website. So even if someone has my password in my login, they can't access because they need that third or second authentication, which is my code from my cell phone. Check for HTTPS security. Make sure the website you are looking for is secure. Sometimes you want to check for spelling and grammar mistakes, because that's common in those type of attacks. Verify email senders. Try to see if that sender is a legitimate sender. Use antivirus softwares. Now, those preventive measures and controls, since we have many types of phishing, I'm going to tell you every time we say what are the preventive control, I would say whatever we discussed previously plus, and I will add to them. Now, let me show you the difference between a legitimate Amazon order and a fake one. This is a legitimate Amazon order. It doesn't only have my name, it has my address. Notice view or manage order, view or manage order. And look, they'll try to impersonate the true website as much as possible. Okay, now we're gonna see what this is coming from, the caution, later on when we explained preventive measure, which we will explain now. There are 3 key terms or preventive measures that deals with protecting incoming emails, and the first one is called SPF, which is Sender Policy Framework, SPF. It allows domain owners to specify which mail servers are permitted to send email on behalf of their domain. So simply put, when an email is received, the receiving server checks the SPF, the Sender Policy Framework record, to ensure that email is coming from an authorized server. Now, what is the server? The server is, for example, it's someone's email at Amazon. Amazon is the server. So what you do under the SPF, you specify which server you accept emails from. So if the server is accepted, the email will appear. Otherwise, we'll see what we're going to do with that email. What can you do? Then we have something called DKIM, which is Domain Keys Identified Mail. Well, this deals with mail. It provides a way for senders to digitally sign their email. So simply put, when you send a letter, how do I know this letter is coming from you? The person usually sign it, and that signature is unique. So you will add a signature to the email header. Now what's going to happen is this: receiving server can check that signature against public key located in the sender's DNS. So you have the sender's DNS, you have their signature, you match their signature to the email. Now you're making sure it's not only the server, the email content hasn't been altered during the transit, because it has that unique signature. So SPF checks for the server, whether the server is allowed or not. DKIM look at the email itself, making sure the email is legitimate. Then we have DMARC. And remember the word mark something. Domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance. It builds upon SPF and DKIM. So let's assume we identify something's wrong. The server is not at Amazon, it's at something else, but it's from Amazon. It allowed the domain owners to specify a policy on how the receiving server should handle the email that fail SPF and DKIM. For example, do you reject the email? Do you quarantine? Or do you do what my company does, is put right here, because we have to receive emails other than my company. So for example, at my company, any email with the server at my company, it's accepted automatically. Anytime I receive an email that's not at my company server, then it shows me caution. This email originated from outside of the organization. Do not click links, open attachment, or reply unless you recognize the sender's email address and know the content is safe. So every time someone sends me an email that's not part of my company, because all people that work at the company, they have at the server is known. Let's assume I work at Amazon, or I work at Google, or I work at my own company at farhatlectures.com. For example, all the emails at my company at farhatlectures.com. So someone's name at farhatlectures.com. So when I receive an email other than at farhatlectures.com, it warns me. Okay. For example, I know from this email that I received, this messages, I know I don't have an Amazon account associated with this account. So automatically it raised a red flag, because I don't have an email associated with this particular email. I don't have an Amazon account associated with this particular email. Okay. So this way, this DMARC, it provides a way for receivers to report back to pass or fail these checks, whether they should accept the email or not. What are some common red flags that you can look for when you suspect a phishing email? Vague salutation like "Dear employee," we know at the company we don't use this language, or "Dear colleague," or "Dear sir, madam," like we don't use this language. You are not accustomed to this language. Our customers, our culture, our company, where we are located, that's not the language that they use. Urgency, like the email, they use important words like security concerns, immediately. And this is not how we conduct business here. Poor grammar or spelling, we mentioned this. Suspicious service names, for example, at Gmail, it's looking at Gmail, like without the I, or something to that effect. You suspect the server. Those are common flags. Survey asking for personal information. Well, if you're asking me to complete a survey, why are you asking me for my information? It's a survey about something else. It's not about my name. Let's go back to those emails that I showed you. Here, for example, this email here, it's from autoconfirm at Amazon. That's the email. Here, it's the email, which is, if you click on it, immediately what I do, I click on the email. It says from Amazon.com, but you click on the email, it is Amazon at s.cure dot something else, which is, it's not. They're trying to confuse you. They're putting Amazon in the name at secure to kind of make you think it's a secure, a secure email, in case someone look and does not know the difference between the email and the server. So you just have to be on the lookout. So we looked at common flags. Let's look at something called spear phishing. So what is the difference between traditional phishing and spear phishing? Here what you are doing is you're targeting specific individual. You're aiming at specific individual. If we look at my example, at Amazon example, when they try to phish me, I know that email is not associated with an Amazon, so they don't know anything about me. So it's easy to identify. But sometimes what they do, before they try to phish information, they try to learn about your habits. They'll try to learn about what subscriptions you have, what activities do you do. While traditional phishing campaign cast a wide net and send generic emails to a large number of potential victims, like what you saw, spear phishing targets specific individual or organization. Here the attacker has done some research on the victim using available information to craft a highly convincing email tailored for that individual. For example, if I know you watch Netflix, how do I know you watch Netflix? Well, I will be your friend on social media and I will see you are posting quotes, movies, likes from Netflix. I know you are a Netflix subscriber or Spotify or any other service. Then guess what? I'm going to be sending you emails. I know you are a Netflix user, therefore I will impersonate Netflix under those circumstances, including, for example, if you put let's assume you on Netflix, you put, well, I just watched this movie, it's my favorite movie ever. What I would do, I will send an email from Netflix telling you, well, thank you for your, for liking our movie, we heard about it on social media, blah, blah, blah. Click on this email and you just won a reward from Netflix, like 6 months free or something like that. Well, hold on a second. Yes, I like this movie. They know I like this movie. I am a subscriber of Netflix. It must be legitimate. Okay, that's what they try to do. Example of spear phishing. Let's assume Jane works in the finance department of a company. She receives an email that seems to be from the company's CEO. So someone knows that where she works. So first they know that she works, and they need to know she works in the finance department. So notice you need to collect information. Here you're targeting an individual with the CEO's actual email address, which is, again, you could change 1 or 2 letters, but everything else the same. So Jane may not look closely. And subject referencing line and a subject line referencing recent company event. Well, wow, recent company event. And the email says, Jane, I'm in the meeting and need you to process the invoice immediately. Please find attached. Well, you also know that the CEO at this time is in a meeting, like for example, for the whole day in a meeting. And Jane would say, well, yes, the CEO in a meeting, it's a legitimate email, and I do process invoices. I'm going to open this invoice. Everything looks legitimate. But the person is targeting Jane because they know that's what she does. So given the personal nature of the email, the correct email address, and the subject matter, Jane might more likely than not open the attachment. And once you open the attachment, you introduce either get you through phishing or some other attack. So notice phishing is a form of reconnaissance, gives you access to data, to information. Then what you can do from there, it's up to you. However, the attachment could contain malicious software, or the link might take her to a fake site where she asks to input sensitive company data. For example, say, okay, pay the invoice here, input the company credit card information, and they will capture this information. So the difference between the traditional and spear is now you are targeting a person that you know what they are doing. They are more susceptible to failing that test. So what are some preventive measures here is, in addition to all the prior measures, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, as well as the other measures that we discuss, what we can do is perform email filtering. Anything that's suspect, just filter it. Let it sit. If someone is interested, they will call you. If you receive an email from someone and you suspect that something wrong with this, just don't respond. If it's that important, they will end up calling you. Then you can kind of get more information. Limit information sharing. Jane should not, discuss a lot about her role at the company, what time the CEO is meeting, or anything like that, because she's going to be a suspect to those type of attacks. Incident reporting by employee. Most likely, we will have more than one Jane at the company. So if something happened with Jane or someone else, everyone should be aware of this. Let's move to whaling. It's another form of phishing. Here we are targeting high-profile individual like a CEO of the company. Here the perpetrator is is performing the maximum effort trying to catch the big fish. This is more sophisticated, more meticulous, since you are targeting high-level individual who might be very sensitive to security issues. An example would be the CEO of a company receive an email appearing to come from a familiar contractor. So the first thing you have to know is, who are the company's contractor? Okay, you have to have some information. Also, you have to know that they have a business with this contractor currently. So the email might ask the CEO for a substantial wire transfer or to approve an invoice. Why? Because we do business with them. That's normal. Playing on the CEO expected knowledge of big transaction. And for example, we'll have the amount above the limit. Again, here the individual that's sending those type of email, they know what they are doing. They know we deal with this contractor. We know we have ongoing business. We have some bills. They will target the CEO with something, maybe a legal document that looks legitimate, but it's not. And if the CEO approves it or send the wiring information, well, we're done. Preventive measures. All previous measures apply, plus executive training. Maybe the executive should have special sorts of training. Also, segmentation will work here. And what does that mean? Limit the access of executives to only data they need. Although they're executives, so in case their information is compromised, in case their credentials are compromised, this will prevent the attacker from gaining access to all parts of the company network. Let's move to the vishing or voice phishing. And I'm pretty sure you received one or two calls like this. I receive them all the time. Sometimes if I'm bored, I just talk to these people. Okay, it's phone-based phishing, and sometimes they're really funny. I mean, they think they are, I just walk them through. It's like, okay, this is the Social Security Office or IRS is calling you. Say, great, and I'll just talk to them. Sometimes Amazon calls me too, like Vishing Amazon. This attack might impersonate a bank official, technical support agent. For example, you have Surface Pro or a certain computer. They will call you. They would say, we find a virus. We're from Microsoft. We would like to go into your computer or something like that. Government authorities, I always get those, the IRS agents saying, I owe money to the IRS, and if I don't pay, I'm going to be in trouble. If you know anything about IRS, they don't call people, right? So, but it's funny, the way they speak. Or any other role that funny in a sense that they don't know what they're talking about. Any individual with minimal knowledge about what they are discussing will uncover them. Obviously, a lot of people fall victim for them because they are not familiar. For example, if they're calling from the IRS and you have an issue with the IRS, you may think it's real. Why if I have an issue with an IRS and the IRS is calling me, this makes sense. Or any other role that might sound legitimate and urgent to the victim. Sometimes what they do, they'll try to put pressure on you. And this is why you have to be careful here. A scam caller claiming to be from the victim's bank saying there has been suspicious activity on their account and they need to confirm their account detail or PIN for verification. Sometimes you do get those legitimate calls from the bank, and I do get them sometimes. I would say, okay, I will tell the bank, I will tell the caller, I will call them back, and they will give me a number. When I call them back, I verify, I ask them information about myself. If I'm really that individual, tell me where's my bank account, or tell me, specific information that my bank only knows. So I'll try to verify them. This is what you have to do. Verify who you are talking to. Preventive measures, again, educate and raise awareness. Verify the caller's identity. Now you will be the investigator. You will ask them questions. Try to see if they are legitimate or not. Worst case situation, hang up, tell them, give me a number, give me a website, who's your supervisor, something. You could always check things out. First of all, you don't have to give any information. So just know you do have that option. If someone really needs you, they will contact you in many different ways. Be cautious, never provide personal information unless you initiated this call and you are certain of the recipient's identity. Use caller ID. Those are not foolproof because sometimes they can call and they can show a different number, but sometimes they help in identifying suspicious calls and they save you a lot of time. If you have a company and receive calls all the time, I receive calls from all sorts of numbers. I answer them because it could be a potential customer. Well, if the ID says it's a spam call, then I don't have to worry about this. But it's not foolproof because sometimes it doesn't say a spam call and it is spam call, or vishing for that matter. Set up voicemail. What's good about voicemail? Let them leave a message and you'll get back to them. So you're not making any decision. Avoid pressure tactics. Also, when you set up a voicemail, they leave a phone number. You can Google that phone number to find out whether it's legitimate or not. Any threats or urgency, that's a no-no. Companies usually don't function that way unless you have a collection, an amount, you owe some company an amount and they call you. Sometimes they threaten you with urgency, but at this point you know that these people are legitimate. Why? Because you have an outstanding bill with them. Nevertheless, you want to verify this, because if someone else knows this information, they can call you, get your credit card information, make you pay, and they could be some other company, not the actual company that you owe the money to, but they presented themselves as so. You could register with do not call list, or you could download an app that block those do not call list numbers. On a regular basis, review your financial statements, your credit card, so on and so forth. Report suspicious calls, talk to other people, Google them, be careful. Smishing is another form of phishing, but this is based on text message, SMS based phishing. So given the personal and immediate nature of text messages, many people may not approach them with the same level of skepticism, because someone's have my number, they're talking to me, that's great. And I receive those a lot. Those, I like to have fun with them. I really do. Again, especially if I'm tired, bored, just want to have some fun. So I'll just, text back and forth. And usually what they've been doing lately is, it was nice meeting you last night. What are we doing next at the company? So basically, they're playing on the fact that maybe I was meeting someone last night, a business meeting, and now they're starting to collect information from me. So you have to be careful. Or a text message claiming the recipient has won a prize, but they need to click on the link to fill out the information or pay a small fee to claim it. Wow, that's really interesting. So be careful what you post on social media, because what these people will do, they would follow your social media, they know where you've been, and they will play on that story. Preventive measures for smishing, in addition to all the previous measures: do not click on suspicious links on your phone. Use text message filtering service that's available. Don't share personal information via text. You don't need to. If someone really needs this information, they will contact you in more than one way. Use antivirus software on your mobile phone. And if you suspect any message on your phone, delete any suspicious messages from your phone. Let's take a look at this multiple choice questions from Farhat Lectures. That's going to help us reinforce the concept of phishing. Which method ensures an added layer of security even if Anna's email credentials are compromised? So Anna's email credentials are now known. Somebody was able to obtain them. What type of a security measure would help ensure that the company or Anna's personal or private information is not compromised? Is it regularly updating mobile software? Well, you should do that, but that's not going to help if they already have your login and password. DMARC, what's DMARC? DMARC is basically marking an email, for example, do not open, this is from outside the company, the server, we're not familiar with this. They mark it, or sometimes they send the email directly to spam. Well, here that's not the issue. The issue is they got your email and password. Well, two-factor authentication. Would this help? What is two-factor authentication? So basically, if someone has your login and password, you'll put your login, Farhat, and they have your password, they'll put your password. After you put the correct login, the correct password, it will take you to another screen where you have to put a number that's auto-generated and goes to your phone. For example, 178165. So, for my account to be compromised, they need to have my login, my password, plus my phone. Usually those individuals don't have your physical phone. But there's other methods of two-factor authentication. I'm just giving you the phone as an example. Avoid pressure tactics. Yeah, you should always avoid pressure tactics. But if they have your email and password, they don't need to talk to you. Okay? So the answer is C as in Charlie. What should you do now? Go to Farhat Lectures and work additional MCQs. If you're studying for your CPA exam, it's well worth it. Invest in yourself. Good luck. Study hard, and of course, stay safe.